Hello and welcome again to Redacted Nuisance. That little bit of. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself in the last episode. Oh my god, I'm such a dork. So, for those who are listening to this episode, I just recorded one just before, which has probably gone out. I forgot to introduce myself. Hey, I'm Dr. J, use they as a pronoun. Welcome to Redacted Nuisance. The weirdest little 15 minutes or so that you'll get on Tinternet, which is just a one take ramble that's uploaded without any editing or anything like that, because life is too short for editing right now. You just get an unmediated, unmitigated 15 or so minutes of me just going, this is the stuff I think I need to talk about right now. This is stuff I think might be interesting. And it's called Redacted Nuisance, not Queer Nuisance, simply because I know that there are people that if I called it Queer Nuisance, they would find it difficult to listen to, because they do not wish to have the word queer on their phones and on their search histories, whereas something like Redacted Nuisance they can pick up and they can listen to it. That is all. So what was I going to talk about? Oh, yes, the UK and trans rights. Oh my God. Welcome to, by the time this goes out, which is probably in about a month's or so time from the time that I'm recording it, I may or may not be able to go into a public space, where I may or may not be able to go to a bathroom, where I may or may not be allowed to choose which bathroom that I go to, which facility that I use the word facility, which facility that I use, because I may or may not be legally allowed to go into a single sex space, because I may or may not be performing a gender that somebody can read as within the binary construct of gender well enough for them to not challenge my decision to use one of the facilities upon offer. Now, I do have the little bit of an advantage of being a cripple, and because I'm a cripple, I have a radar key, and I generally use the disabled toilets, because honestly, as somebody who has an 8-bit character style way of walking, which I remembered to say last time, I actually find your standard toilet cubicles really, really difficult to turn around in. It sounds so ridiculous, but literally the number of times I have fallen into the wall in a standard toilet cubicle is way too many. So if I get a chance, I use the disabled, just because I can turn around without face planting myself into a wall every now and then. But I use a disabled toilet not because of my gender. I use a disabled toilet because I am disabled. I'm a cripple and I need to have a little bit more space to turn around so I don't faceplant. The way that this law has come out, and the way that it's being talked about being implemented, and the way that it is going on, there are so many people who are being told that they should not be in public. You cannot be yourself in public. Now, I also have the fun. Ha 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 ha. I'm so looking forward to the moment when somebody says, "But what's on your birth certificate, young person?" Assuming that they read me as young. And I will say, haha, my birth certificate actually says non-binary, so stick that up your fucking cunt. Sorry, I shouldn't swear quite so much. But yes, I can just imagine that somebody would turn around and basically, or stick that up your teke, reverting to the language of my childhood. It literally does mean stick it up your cunt. But in Māori teke means it's slightly less offensive. It's probably about the same level as cunt. Anyway, let's move along. I have a birth certificate that does not refer to anything previously of who I am, what my name was, or what my name could have been, what my gender was, or anything like that. It just basically clean-skinned me as J.E. Barnhill Harrison, who was born non-binary and will forever be non-binary. Now, that's already caused so much confusion. So much confusion. Getting my name changed in various places in the UK has just been a bureaucratic administrative nightmare. Getting it changed in New Zealand And for some things, it looks like it's relatively simple. I had the most gorgeous of name changes there. I was finishing paying back my student loan there. Still have a tax record there, of course. Um, and I said, hey, look, I've updated my name. Could you potentially, what do I need to provide you? Here's my birth certificate. Could you possibly update my name on your systems? I received an email back. I sent an inquiry email off going, what do you need? Here's the information I've got. I got an email back saying, thank you so much for all of this. We've changed your name on our system and we apologise that it may take up to 2 hours to propagate through our systems. If you find that there's any problems with it, please just let us know. Thank you so much, Dr. J. Thank you so much for using us, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. You just apologised that it might take 2 hours to propagate. You sent me an email, I checked, and it had propagated within like 30 minutes. And I'm like, oh, this is the dream that we all want. Meanwhile, I ended up having to do another name change document here in the UK because more than one place would not take my New Zealand birth certificate as evidence of my change of name because I had no previous names on it. Even though it had a cover letter that said, here is your brand new birth certificate, changing your name from previous name to your new name. My birth certificate itself does not contain that because effectively it's a gender recognition certificate. It reset all of my official records in New Zealand to be, this is your name since birth, this is your gender since birth, and we don't care what journey you've been on with your name and your gender, this is what you are now. Wonderful. Currently, I am looking at I was trying to figure out why I've been getting a little bit of PTSD, why my CPTSD, my complex PTSD has been kicking off. And I'm like, as mentioned previously on one of these rambles, could it be that every time I go anywhere, including now going to work, including now going to a client space, including going to the toilet in a and I'm going to say going to the toilet in a public space, going to any toilets, going to any changing rooms, going to, in fact, anywhere, I can be policed for not performing a gender within the binary sufficiently to be unharassed. Now, unlike my trans femme siblings, I'm relatively lucky in that I relatively slide under the radar. Most people look at me and go, oh, it's colourful, and then don't see any signs of gender beyond, oh my God, how many patterns is this person wearing? However, that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. That doesn't mean I'm not going to have somebody say, I think this person is using the wrong bathroom. I think this person has used the wrong facilities. I am going to ask this person exactly what genitalia they have and exactly what route they have achieved this genitalia. Was it through natural selection? Was it through some kind of medicalization? Was it in any other way? Now, I just... Who the fuck are you for asking those questions? Who the fuck are you? What does it matter to you? I have literally gone into a bathroom, I have peed, I have washed my hands. By the way, and I think I've mentioned this before, something I've discovered men do not do. Oh my God, if you go and use the men's toilets, and, feel free, because to paraphrase Jinx Monsoon, I pee wherever will make cis men most uncomfortable because that is a goal in life. I actually rather admire Jinx Monsoon's goal in life. But if I use the men's, and I occasionally do, because it's closer, or there's less queue, or I can't be bothered traipsing halfway around the auditorium, I will use the one that's there. Very few men will wash their hands properly. And I'm going to say more than just I have run the water and done a homeopathic swish past the water and I will now walk out in embarrassment. And I will now walk out. But literally, just Just men do not wash their hands. Be aware of this if you're ever, well, with a man, near a man, or anything like that. They are filthy beasts because they do not believe that washing their hands is an important part of going to the bathroom. However, I, on the other hand, will go to the bathroom and give my hands a thorough wash. Maybe not the most thorough dry, because I tend to style my hair with my slightly damp hands, which I know is a little bit gross, on the gross edge, but hey, just deal with it, because it makes my hair look good, because I have fluffy hair, and it needs to be a little bit more slicked and a little bit more styled sometimes, so I will style and slick my hair and smile at myself in the mirror, admire myself, and then I will leave. Harassing nobody, doing nothing to anybody that could be harmful in any way. In fact, probably being tidier than most people. And yet, there'll be somebody who might tell me that I'm in the wrong space. And very soon, probably by the time this comes out, they will have a legal challenge. They'll be able to turn around and ask me what's on my birth certificate. And I will say non-binary, and we will turn in, and they will look at me in abject confusion. I will say, sorry, you asked the question. I have told you the answer. What part of that was unclear? And then continue on with my life. Yeah. I don't know why this has happened. Well, I know why this has happened. I know how this has happened. This is just... We are the wedge to divide groups of people, to divide the minority so the fascists can take power. It's happened before. It will happen again. I just have the luxury of being a minority group in a minority group that is being used as a wedge issue, not a wedge issue, a wedge issue. And I have the ability to have a podcast, so hey, that's fun.